So, you like primitive decorating and want to find out more about it? Today, we're going to talk about that. I have a free book for you. It's a PDF, The Essential Guide to Primitive Decorating. You can download it on my websites, annclay.store or annclaytheprimitivehome.com. Either place, it's absolutely free. It will come to you in your email. So if it doesn't download onto your computer right away, don't worry. It's going to come in an email with that download. But it is a really helpful guide to primitive decorating. A lot of you have followed me a long time, and there are so many of you who have primitive decorating down pat. But there are a lot of you who have just started primitive decorating. You're new on your journey. And I understand that because I was new on my primitive decorating journey 8 years ago. Now, the truth is that I have always had a love for primitive decorating ever since I moved to New England years and years and years ago. But then when I lived in different parts of the country, I did not decorate as much primitive until I bought this 1780s farmhouse in the middle of Connecticut. And that made me really want to decorate authentically. So I started out with very much of a country kind of look. Whatever my cousin picked up and she gave me, I used in my home. You know, if it looked halfway old, I used it. So I had Victorian things, I had Shaker things, I had country looking items, and it was just this eclectic mix of everything. My colors were more farmhouse, they were more light and bright, and I brought whatever historical thing I could bring into it, and I was very happy with it, but it didn't have that primitive style. Then I decided that I should go more colonial. Like I should go like the museum villages that I went to here, like Sturbridge Village or any of the old homes. We are so lucky in New England because we have so many old home museums, historic homes that we can go to. What I found in those historic museums were bright interiors, white walls, lots of light colors on the woodwork. So the woodwork would be like blue or yellow or red or green, and they'd all be these really light colors. And then in Sturbridge Village, because they've made it around the 1830s, wallpaper was really big around here. So there was a lot of wallpaper. So your wallpaper and your paint might not match each other. And then you do these curtains that wouldn't match your wallpaper. And you might have painted floors with even designs on them that don't match your wallpaper or your curtains. And you might have furniture that has some kind of upholstery on it that didn't match. And you may have a floor covering that didn't match. And you'd have this cacophony of colors. It was like this big clash. And I thought, well, that certainly isn't the look I'm looking for. So even though that might be authentic 1830s, that would not be the look I'd want. So then I tried to appropriate some of those things into my interior and decided that I didn't like all that color. For me, I need earth tones to ground me. I can wear bright colors. I've got bright colors on my glasses. I actually have bright colors on this top that I have under this, but I cannot decorate in bright colors because it starts to just make my mind unravel. Some people need the bright colors to stimulate them and keep them happy. Other people do not. I found out that I am one of those people that really resonates with earth tones. This is why the primitive style to me is the most exciting style, because it incorporates the whole early American idea, the history, the time period of this house and the time period before when the early Americans came to this country. It puts that all together in one beautiful earth tone mix. When I was young, I used to go camping. And I loved camping because you were outside in nature. You were breathing in the beautiful trees. I love the national parks. I love all the places you can hike. Those things are very, very important to me. And I'm able to bring that feeling into my home with this primitive style. So primitive style is basically, think earth tones. Think early American design in earth tones. Think simple furniture, simple lines, tapered legs, tavern tables that are not finished or once had a finish on them, but that finish has worn over time. Think about items that were painted and the paint is worn over time. trunks that are very basic boxes. Primitive style would not be elaborately decorated furniture. It would not be Queen Anne style or any kind of beautiful highboy style. It would be much more trunks and boxes and crude cupboards made of maybe tables made of um, closet doors, right? Everything would be used over and over again, repurposed, reused, used until it absolutely could not be used anymore. Now, the primitive style of decorating is not cheap. I'm going to tell you right now, if you buy a 250-year-old bowl that has repairs on it and a lot of wear and it crack maybe, but it's still in existence, you're paying a lot of money for that bowl. You could pay probably between $125 and $300 for that one bowl. So what I find attainable for me would not be the same thing as other people might find attainable for them. So some people have a lot more discretionary money. They've been collecting a long time. They might have a lot of bowls or a lot of firkin buckets or a lot of old antiques that they've been collecting through the years, and then they display them in old cabinets. And that can definitely be the primitive style. And you'll see that in a lot of homes. That style used to intimidate me because I thought there is no way I can go out and buy all those antiques. So for me, I have really worked on the last few years just buying one nice object like every 4 months or every 6 months, putting that money away and buying one thing that would work in my primitive decor and then keeping it more minimal. That way, I don't have to purchase a lot of items. Now, there are going to be some people that don't have access to those antiques and they don't have the money for them that might be able to find something at a reused store and repurpose it, repaint it, and scuff it up a little bit and make it look old. There are many ways to achieve this, but I would say that if you want to go primitive, just think boxy, keeping it simple, time-worn kind of items, and keeping it minimal. Hiding all the electronics and just keeping everything earth tones. So the wood palette, you can add black into that. You can add mustard into that, maybe a rusty kind of red color, and you're going to have a real primitive style. Now, I want to say that primitive is very different from colonial, because colonial is the style that would have all the colors. But primitive would be almost like a lot of the same pieces, but you're pairing it with browns and earth tones, and you don't have these highfalutin finishes. You don't have what the rich people would have had. You're more the country rural kind of look. You're the people that lived in the country in the farmhouse that didn't have any money. That is more the primitive style. And so I think that's very attainable, and it's calming. The earth tones, to me, the wood is a very calming, homey, down-to-earth style. And I kind of think when I walk into a home, if I'm walking into a home with a very down-to-earth style, I think of the people that live there as being real, as being down-to-earth. It's not a fussy style. You don't have to worry about entertaining or keeping up appearances like Mrs. Bouquet. It's more the come on in, put your feet up on my table, kick back and have a good time. Let's laugh. Let's be real with each other. That's the down to earth style of primitive decorating. And you right away are just, you can calm down. You can just come into the house and you can just kick back. So there are people that have a whole different gamut of those kind of styles. If you look at Karen Boulet's home, that is very primitive, very earthy, very down to earth. That home always just makes me go, oh, you feel like you can just breathe and be yourself. And then you look at a style like Alice has. Alice has a colonial primitive mix. So she has a lot of more colonial, nice pieces that more wealthy people would have, but then she's mixed that with some of the down to earth primitive. And those two things mix so beautifully together. It's all about knowing what you like and how you like to use it. Uh, Lainey, well, her style changes all the time because she has this store, so she brings different things into her home. She has almost more of a high country primitive style, I would say, and mixes it up a lot with different things. She has some more eras in her decorating. I've been to some homes besides Karen's that have a really, really good primitive style that you don't see anything in that home that looks new. Like everything looks like it was pulled out of an old barn somewhere, and it really works. I love it. Those are the kind of homes I'm just like, oh, please let me photograph your house. So, yeah, everything is relative, but I would say that if you're really going for the real prim, go as earthy and crude as possible. You can pull things out of people's garages and barns and pull an old trunk out of a barn and use it as your coffee table. Throw a bunch of throws over your furniture if it's too modern. Throws and pillows. Add a lot of stencil kind of designs in there. To me, that really works well with the primitive style. Keep it earth tones, keep it the browns and the mustards. And think about taking things from outside in. So, tree branches, pussy willows, uh, rocks, whatever is a natural element, you can put into this primitive style. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you go minimal, better yet. And it just has to be welcoming. So, this is my beginning. This is like the beginning of this whole essential guide to primitive decorating. There will be many more videos coming out where I'm just talking about what the style is. I do so much showing. I don't always do telling. So in this, I'm going to kind of show and tell with pictures and illustrations, but this just gives you a good idea of the primitive decorating style. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.